Gosh darn tooth, man. This place is colder than the well digger says. You get some fire up going?
Hang on, bud. Igniting the fireplace now.
Oh, thank you, man. You got something to drink so we can keep ourselves warm meanwhile we wait?
Yeah, right here. And we're alive.
Welcome back here to the corner. Been away here for a while since I thought that my partner here, Troy, ghosted me. But then he miraculously turns up again, alive, to my surprise. So welcome welcome back here. It'll be another episode also going up soon.
I didn't ghost you, by the way. I'm just busy. I don't know what you're doing in your life at the moment.
You know what the definition of ghosting is, right? The definition of ghosting,
being absent, basically.
Yeah, being absent. You didn't reply to my messages. You didn't take the phone when I called. You weren't online.
Yeah, but
what the hell was I going to think, man?
Yeah, but I fucking did, though. I fucking did.
After a week.
I wrote, let me just read here quickly before we get started on today's topics, which is, by the way, another Breaking Bad universe topic. But before we get started on that, let me just read all the in-depth messages that I wrote. After he had written, I sent a picture and wrote, watching The Blacklist. with my buddy Mathis. And that was like, I mean, if that wasn't enough,
that was after a week.
If that wasn't enough, then I wrote I am not home. I'm at a friend's place playing VR, playing a boxing.
Yeah, okay, I got it. Anyways, let's get back here.
I know it's not the most in-depth, but it should be enough for a cool guy conversation.
Let's get back here to the episode. So today we will be discussing and talking about the character Skinny Pete.
Yeah.
Who is actually a really interesting character in the Breaking Bad universe, at least so do I think. Also considering regarding how remarkably reliable he is, because he never once lets Jesse down through Breaking Bad or even in El Camino.
No, it's true.
Right.
He really. The point is he's really a good guy almost.
Yeah.
Right up until that point where you see it from another perspective than Jesse's, when you see it from a normal, let's call it, because nothing in the Breaking Bad universe is normal. So when you see it from a normal person's perspective, if you can say there's such a thing as normal, then you would see that, yeah, he's pretty dark after all. But maybe we can get into that later on.
Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about when is Skinny Pete first introduced to the show? That has to be really early, considering he was a longtime friend of Jesse Pinkman.
Yeah, it was pulled it up here as we speak. You guys can follow along on the screen here. We got the Breaking Bad episodes here, and of course there's no Better Call Saul episodes because he's not in Better Call Saul, but I hope he will be. That's another point of this topic that we were going to discuss. I hope he's going to be in season 6.
Yeah.
But as you can see here, he's in quite a lot of episodes, mostly from season 1 to 3, but in 4 episodes from season 4 to 5. So he's in quite a lot, as like you could probably say Jesse's right hand man. Like
Yeah.
he's the wingman of Jesse that is the most loyal to him, if you will. Badger being there too, but Skinny Pete being probably the smartest of the bunch. Let's just say it like that, because hey man, have you seen Badger?
Yeah. I've seen Badger. I'll say, Badger isn't the smartest tool in the drawer, but he's still a good friend from like the viewer's perspective, I think.
Yeah, they all are. I mean, even Ortega. I don't know what his name. Yeah, Combo.
Yeah,
That's his
he
name.
died, right?
Yeah, he died in around season 2, I think. Yeah. And it was the subject of Hank's investigation. That's one of the more brilliant scenes in the show, where Hank is entering Christian's or Combo, as he's known, his room, and we have this beautiful music in the background where Hank is just investigating the whole room around Combo's very existence, if you will. So that's another reason to rewatch the show, everyone out there.
Oh, right. He got killed by Andreas' 11-year-old brother as part of the initiation ritual, getting into Gustavo Fring's gang.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Wow. That's crazy.
And so he's also like part of the crew, but not as loyal still as Skinny Pete is. Like, let me just check here what I wrote, because I wrote to you earlier about Skinny's loyalty and the darkness of his character, because as you can see in episode 5 of season 1, where he's, I think, no, episode 6, A Crazy Handful of Nothing, we have Skinny Pete here, who's introducing Jesse to Tuco and saying, "Tuco, what's happening, my brother?" Like basically like they're buddies, like they're best buds.
Because they served together.
No,
in prison.
They served together, but and they were in a cell block in Los Lunas together. We get to know that already in Breaking Bad, and then you have in Better Call Saul, where, what is this guy's name? Who's the henchman of? I can't remember his name. It's some henchman of Hector and Nacho. I don't know what his name is again, but he's coming in and saying that the Tuco knifed the guy in Los Lunas and killed the guard, which proves that Tuco even in prison, even without the meth, even without being on all these substances that he's taking outside of the prison, he's still like a psychopath, basically. And that begs the question, how did Skinny Pete survive being Tuco's cellmate?
I would like if it comes up, I would think it is partly because of Pete's laid back and chilled attitude. Because thinking about it like that, he is like kind of like the exact opposite of Tuco. He's chilled, don't really give a shit, right? So I'm like thinking like this balance between them has worked out. and then also the fact that like that he is not dumb. Like we have seen like multiple times that Skinny Pete actually has some brains, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I would like
exactly.
say it is a combination of this that has like worked, that has been like making them click so good together.
Yeah.
And then also the fact that like he would probably also like be helping Tuco slinging dope in prison.
Yeah, yeah, and that's
Be-
another thing like that I would really like to see as well in season 6 is like a scene. It may just be for a few minutes, just like 1 or 2 minutes, or even 3 minutes of them, like where we see Tuco and Skinny Pete sharing a cell, or like whatever dealings it is they do in prison, because this is something that is referenced several times throughout both Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. Of course, not in the Jimmy universe and not in the Walt universe, but in the Nacho universe and in the Gus universe.
yeah,
So yeah, I really want to see it, but I don't know if we're gonna be that lucky though. But like considering that Skinny Pete is a major character in season 1, I think it could happen, and also El Camino. Let's not forget that he was also in that. So
yeah, he was also in El Camino, where he
oh,
again showed how reliable he was to Jesse. Which was also like a scene that I remember there
yeah,
is where he hands Jesse the beanie that he was wearing,
yeah, yeah,
because he said, because like that was like a reference to earlier in Breaking Bad where Jesse would actually be wearing beanies. But he hands him his beanie also so that Jesse won't so easily be recognized by people
yeah.
when driving. But yeah, man, El Camino was a gem for sure,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I'm really glad that they made it, and I'm really glad that we got to see like a closure on Jesse's side.
Yeah.
So because it would have been like kind of like dark if Jesse's story would have been ended like, yeah, he's like like just held captive by
It
some
was
neo Nazis.
it was unclosed, basically is what
Yeah,
it was. It was not
yeah,
finished. I mean,
yeah.
you can't end a character's story by by driving away in an El Camino way, just yelling.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not an end. That's an explosion.
It's also like funny when you like say it, El Camino. You do know what El Camino means in Spanish, right?
No, I know. I only know
Like
it's the car,
it is also the car, yeah. But in Spanish, it means the path or the road.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. So it's a kind of like so like it would kind of like translate into Jesse Pinkman's path.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Wow, that's so philosophical. Actually, that's another symbol for for the whole movie
Yeah.
in its essence. Wow, that's something I never thought about even, and another reason to rewatch it again. And shout out to like all the people who have watched it just once. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and El Camino by extension is not something you just watch once. And I don't just say that because I'm like a fan. I say that because there is literally so many of these details that I've already been talking about before. These symbolism and metaphors and double plots that you can see by rewatching it again, that you will see the second time that you won't see the first time. So Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and El Camino is something that needs to be watched at least twice to get the full extent of it. If you only watch it once, it is a cool TV show and a cool movie for sure, but you won't get the full experience of it if you don't watch it twice at least.
Like I've only watched Breaking Bad like once.
That's a shame. You're really missing out on something there. I can tell you.
Like what I remember by watching it the mostly is how I felt, which was basically every episode where my heart beats twice as fucking fast.
Yeah,
because the show was so fucking unpredictable, right? And it kept me amped up, and like wondering what kind of crazy shit's gonna go down in this episode.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about the first time. I remember I felt the same way the first time. I think I binged most of the seasons of Breaking Bad the first time I watched it. I think it was back in high school. This is like 7 or 8 years ago when I watched it.
And El Camino gave me at parts the same kind of like feeling, the same double heartbeat feeling.
But this is
especially in the shootout scene. Where he goes, because like I thought holy shit, I literally thought that this could be like ended both ways, because it's like, who knows? It's like Vince Gilligan and crew would just say, like, yep, this is where Pinkman dies, because it very well could have been in a shootout scene like that. But it wasn't, and I'm glad it wasn't. But I still I gotta say wow, to be able to make a TV show that gets you that heart pump, and you're wondering what the fuck's gonna happen? What's happening?
Yeah, that's epic. But there's a lot of TV shows that can already do that. Like Prison Break is the same. We got things like Dexter as well. We got like several of the Blacklist, as I'm watching right now. Although that's I don't know.
No,
I take that back.
That's chilled back, man.
Yeah, it is.
Compared to Breaking Bad.
It is, but Prison Break and Dexter basically, definitely, and then we have, of course, also we have Westworld in part. There has been parts. In parts, yes. But like nothing compared to Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and El Camino, which, and you can't talk about this because you've only watched Breaking Bad once. Have you watched Better Call Saul twice?
A couple of episodes.
A couple of episodes. Man, dude, is there any TV show that you've watched twice at all?
Sopranos, and The Wire.
Oh yeah, fuck. and there I'm on that note. I'm far behind you. I still haven't watched The Sopranos. I gotta watch that show.
Those shows, I watched The Sopranos at least 3 times, and I watched The Wire 2 times. I watched The Wire again because it was recently released in a remastered HD version.
Yeah.
As when they shot that in the early 2000s, they didn't have the same kind of cameras back then.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta watch The Sopranos. Also, I have a feeling I've watched the first pilot, the pilot episode of The Sopranos.
Yeah,
and I liked it. But for some reason,
how were you not intrigued when they were hanging that guy off the rails, asking for the money?
Well, that's not the part. Usually, the part I'm usually interested in. Like, the violence is very rarely something I'm interested in a show. What I'm mostly interested in is the artistic filmography, the film art, the film art that a TV show is shot in. And Fargo is another example of a show that does very excellent on that in that regard, which I've also only watched like one season of, and I never because, but it's also like, it's like this basically. If you've watched Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, you have like watched the supreme the definition of a legendary TV show, and everything you watch apart from that is just crap in comparison. And I know it's unfair to other TV shows, but that's the truth. It's like,
because it's really, really well thought out.
Compared
to other TV shows.
And as I said, I just watched the first couple of episodes of Breaking Bad recently, and I still found a new fucking thing that I've never thought about, which was Jesse's character development, which was the second thing that I wanted to discuss in this episode. Which was where he picks up this glass. I'm scrolling to it as we speak so I can remember. Where he picks up this volumetric flask. He picks up this flask and then he says, like to brag to Badger about how good his chemistry skills is and stuff. He says, so this is like an Erlenmeyer flask, and this is like a Griffin beaker, and this is a volumetric beaker. And then I was thinking, does he really know all this after 5 episodes of Breaking Bad? And then I fucking go in and I Google all these flasks. I fucking Google, what is an Erlenmeyer flask? What is a Griffin beaker? What is a volumetric beaker? And then I see, that's not called a volumetric beaker. That's called a volumetric flask. He's actually he's mistaken here. And then I watch the scene again, and then I fucking see, he actually pauses right before he says, here's a Griffin beaker. He says that with a confidence because he knows this is a Griffin beaker. But then when he's supposed to say, here's a volumetric flask, he says, here's a volumetric beaker, showing that he literally he isn't quite sure that this is a volumetric flask. He thinks this is a volumetric beaker, showing the ingenious fucking development of his character development. I mean, it's just it's a very subtle detail that I didn't fucking know before I saw that scene for like the 5th time. And I bet you wouldn't have caught that either.
That is like a good.
It's just mind blowing, and I posted it on the Breaking Bad forums, and they were also like, "Wow, good catch, dude."
Yeah, that is a good catch. But yeah, that shows how much thought they put into making that show.
Yeah,
so and everything has a meaning.
And it also gives me more respect for Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould, because how long have they been planning this show? Because this is not something that you could just, like most fucking writers in Hollywood, they write they write a season and then they write another season, so they have like maybe half a year to come up with this stuff. But this kind of fucking detailed, thought out stuff can't just fucking happen in half a year.
No, it has been planned longer in advance for that.
Yeah. It definitely.
Yeah, definitely. But anyways, you were telling me something about that Pete has a dark personality.
It's because it's in relation to when he's sitting in the cell with Tuco, because I was thinking,
Do
like,
wait? Do we actually see them in the cell of Tuco?
no, that's what I want to see in Better Call Saul season 6.
Yeah.
Because we have never seen that before. The only thing we have on this is the reference in Better Call Saul in season 3, where that's just before Hector is getting his what do you call it? His anfall. I only know the Danish word.
Oh, his stroke.
Yeah, his stroke is
Yeah.
his stroke because of the pills.
Yeah.
Because he's like getting upset because Tuco is in prison, and then this guy comes in. I still don't know what his name is, but then he says, "Lanel talked to our guy in Los Lunas. Looks like Tuco knifed the guy." And then Hector goes off on a rant and says, "No! What the fuck? He was only supposed to do 6 months! He will be in there forever!"
Oh yeah, I remember that. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Man.
and that's the only thing we have on Tuco being in prison. We only know it from this reference.
It's also like funny when you mention it because like Hector cares about Tuco, right?
Yeah.
But Eladio don't. Eladio don't care about Tuco, and nor does that other guy, Lalo. Lalo also don't care about Tuco because like he's like just like shh, Tuco, right?
Yeah. Now, well, I think he still wants him to keep him alive because he's family, and as Hector says, La familia es todo. Family is all.
He still thinks that Tuco is a fuckhead.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's like the family's retarded cousin. You love them because you gotta love them.
Yeah. And like that kind of also, like I don't know, like that kind of like also explains why we never saw Tuco working close with Eladio or any of these like high level cartel dudes, right? Because all we see Tuco have is like that is that rundown warehouse something building where he does that business and snorts coke and shit, right?
Yeah.
You know the building I'm talking about where Walter throws that bomb thing on the floor.
Yeah.
Right. And with the bikers outside, which you like caught on, where you said, that Don Eladio said, "That's for the bikers," referencing to that.
That exact scene in episode 6 of season 1. Where Heisenberg or where Walter is meeting Tuco for the first time, that those bikers in front of it, and you in the beginning of the episode you even see the bikers, where Walter says to Jesse, "No more violence," and then it cuts over to him walking out with some strange dark music in the background, where there's a lot of bikers in the background. That's what Lalo is referencing to.
Don Eladio was referencing to, or was it Lalo? Yeah. That.
No, I think. It is Don Eladio.
Yeah. Man, like that's still. Like I'm still, I'm more and more convinced that when Lalo catches up to Nacho, and he will, Nacho will somehow manage to convince Lalo that it wasn't Gustavo that put out the hit for him. It was Don Eladio.
Yeah.
Right,
and that's going to be like a very also delicate subject, I think, in season 6. That's something that we definitely will hear about, probably in episode 1, actually.
Yeah.
Because it's so, if we're not going to have a Gene a long Gene sequence. I'm still hoping for that we will have at least half an episode of Gene.
Yeah.
But at least in season 2, in episode 2. Sorry, we will hear about this and why and how Nacho is going to get out of this.
Yeah, because he has to like spin that story, and I'm thinking it's going to happen because Nacho is good at that. He's good at spinning a story and lying and convincing people in the lie. Right.
Yeah.
And and if that were to happen, then he's free to return, and he's free to spin the story any way he wants to, right?
Yeah.
And he will probably just say that like Nacho ain't coming back, because he wouldn't. He would just run. And considering how prepared Nacho I'm sorry, Lalo was with like that fucking tunnel and all that shit on an attack on the compound, he definitely has some money stashed away somewhere for an escape.
Yeah, but I don't think he has it like us, like in the Caymans. I think he literally has it in cash.
In cash.
Somewhere.
I think so too.
Because I don't think he has the brains, honestly, to have it in the Caymans. Like, I don't think he's not at that level. It just doesn't seem like that to me.
There is like also another thing there, that when Gustavo was like putting money in the Caymans, and that goes for Mike too, the money can't just simply be wired from the US to the Caymans. It has to show up there in cash on the fucking Caymans. So like that's another fucking logistics nightmare that we haven't really seen, since it would mean that planes literally needs to touch down on Grand Cayman, and money being fucking hauled out of a plane and then hauled into a bank again, and then some fapped out banker sitting there like fucking counting it with some fucking machine, being like, "Hey, okay, it's $5,700,000, sir, and 9 cents."
Yeah, but like being Gustavo Fring, I could see that happening. I mean, all he would have is to have some of his minions do that, and like play and not even it wouldn't even have to be Mike. It would just have to be like Victor, one of these other several countless minions he has, who could do that.
Yeah,
but being Nacho, no, that's a whole different fucking story.
Or Lalo, yeah.
And I don't know, Lalo. I don't know, man. But yeah, actually, it's funny you mention Lalo, because that makes me think of when Kim is saying to Lalo if he's ever heard of a Cayman account, in the last in this episode 9 of season 5. Where she's asking him why he isn't just using an offshore account, which begs the question: does Lalo really realize this? Like, do the Cattels really use this? I don't think so.
No, I guess like that's one thing. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul has wrong, though. Because the cartels today, they are using it, but like not like that. They are purchasing tourist resorts and hotels in Mexico for the money.
Yeah, but that's still not the Cayman Islands.
No, it's not the Cayman Islands.
Right. It's a shell corporation. Right.
It's a shell corporation,
and that's also what Kim suggests. So it's still, but yeah, it's still, but yeah, we still don't get any information whether Lalo is actually doing this, because he's not saying anything in that scene.
I don't think so either. And also regarding the tunnel and shit, then he would be way too paranoid to trust an offshore bank with his money. So
Yeah.
no, I think you're right, man. It will probably like show up in the show that he has the money buried in barrels or something, right? Which,
Yeah.
man, that will be genius if we see that, because that would be like
Yeah.
a nice fucking catch to Breaking Bad,
Yeah. Yeah.
where
Definitely.
where we have like that episode with Walter running around in the fucking desert searching for like, oh, where did I bury that barrel?
Yeah. Just not as what do you call it? Not as clumsy, if you will, because
No, no, because he would know exactly where he would like put a barrel of
yeah.
cash.
Because
In,
Lalo, like however much you can say about him, he is a hardened criminal. He's off the cartel. He's bred into the fucking cartel. So he
yeah,
fucking, I mean, like it's just like the cousins. They're fucking robots. They will fucking do this or die.
yeah, that's
Um,
true. That's true. Um,
and in a way, like it's on one side it's admirable, but on the other side is also frightening because like they are all sociopaths in my opinion. Um,
yeah,
but I mean,
uh,
like yeah, but like Walter is human, and that's what makes him sympathetic. So that's why also you couldn't make a show about Lalo or the fucking cousins because you wouldn't feel sympathy for them because they're not
no,
human.
no, it will just
Walter,
be
Walter,
mindless killing machines.
yeah,
Yeah,
Walter is human, and that's what makes him such a great subject for a show in general. That's what makes him so great for
yeah.
having 5 seasons around him.
Any any good show needs a main character that can connect with the viewer,
Yeah, yeah. And
right?
that is also
Also,
muddy. That is muddy because, like, I heard once, and this is actually factually true. This is not something I read, as a lot of things is in this world. Like usually, people when they read something, they always assume that is more correct than what they hear. But I actually heard something that is just as correct, and that is from a podcast I listened to, a Danish podcast, which is called Third Ear, where they had an expert and like it was like this researcher who was studying narrative storytelling, and he was having some very interesting points on what makes a character interesting, and this is that an interesting character is always muddy, like a bad character is written when there are usually stereotypical. So, and stereotypical means that they have very square ways of writing the character, so that you say this character is bad. He's the devil. This character uses guns to kill his victims. And, that's like very stereotypical. But a good character is a muddy character who goes into a HUD and thinks, what am I going to do? No, shit. Fuck, man, I can't kill this guy. I'm going to go out and go for a walk. What the fuck, man? Shit. Then he kills him anyway. Like reflective in a way. You know? Please stop me if I'm like going on a fun rant here, but like good characters are more than just no, that's a bad guy. He's the Joker. He burns everything. He just wants to burn the world. Good characters are written the way that they have a reasoning for stuff happening, and they also can do good deeds. Like they can kill a person in one instance, but an hour later they can do a good deed, like they can save an old lady from going over the street or something like that. Those are good characters.
man, that reminds me like of like one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. It's an old movie called 12 Angry Men. Have you seen it?
Wow. Wow. I just have a flashback to when one of my best friends told me just this weekend, actually, Troy or Alexander, you have to watch 12 Angry Men because it's one of the best movies that was ever made.
It is, and
Yeah.
wow. Why it is the best movie ever made. For one, most of the movie is shot in one fucking room. Okay.
Yeah.
And it is also like way up there on IMDb top 250.
It's in the top. Yeah, it's in the top 10, I think, even.
And the whole movie is basically about that this kid's on trial for murder, and the jury is going to decide, like guilty, not guilty. And like as like the jury consists of like 12 men, right, or 12 people. And then like all these people, like 11 out of these 12 angry men, it's just like guilty, hang the bastard or whatever, right?
Oh yeah, I just pulled it up, by the way. It's on number 5 on the best movies on IMDb. Just after Shawshank Redemption, Godfather Part 2, and The Dark Knight.
And then Henry Fonda is like playing the one dude that is like in the jury that is like casting doubt on that this 18-year-old kid could have done the murder.
Yeah.
And it is brilliant in every way. Like the way it is like executed, the way Henry Fonda is. I don't remember. Like, is it Henry Fonda or Peter Fonda?
It's Henry Fonda.
Like the way that Henry Fonda has like portrayed his character, convincing everybody, like that there is a chance that they didn't do it because as the jury needs to be unanimous, everybody needs to be in agreement on the verdict before they can pass it to the judge.
Yeah.
And sometimes like this can like last for days. For them to last the verdict, since you will like have that one guy, you will have like maybe one person that is like not in agreement with what the rest of the group is like saying.
Yeah, and that's very realistic because that's the way the justice system in the U.S. works as well.
Yeah,
they have they still to this day have a jury of 12 peers who are sitting and who are judging, who are like I still don't know how it works, but they're included in the decision by the judge in some way. I don't know how, but yeah.
And like I'm just like thinking like, holy shit, what if you don't have that guy that is casting doubt? And in the movie, this is like very, very like like pointed out because like many of the characters is like, yeah, all right, screw it. The guy's guilty. I got a baseball game to get to, or I got like a steakhouse dinner to get to with friends or family or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So everybody is so quick to just pull the fucking trigger and be like, fucking guilty, because I got other important shit to do on my agenda.
Yeah.
And like I after watching that movie for the first time, I couldn't like help wondering, does this happen in real life? That that you will like get a jury, and if you're unlucky, then everybody in the jury is like in agreement that you're guilty, and the reason for why they are in agreement isn't necessarily because they care about you or because they have even looked at the fucking case or paid attention to what the lawyers have even been saying. They just say so because they want to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, and that's probably symbolized by the title, 12 Angry Men. They're angry about their own fucking lives, and they just want to get out of there. But I don't know. But fuck, man, I've literally, as you spoke, I have added it to my watch list on IMDb, and I will keep this tab open in my browser until I have watched this fucking. Because isn't it on Netflix even? I think it's on Netflix.
I think so. But like damn man, like because like the point is that like that okay, say that you have a jury and you're on murder for trial and you didn't really do it,
Yeah.
and then you have like 11 people that is just like unanimous about like you know what, Alexander fucking did it, whatever,
Yeah,
right?
it's
And then,
fucking-
and then and then you have the last guy that is like maybe like doubting that you did it, but he's also like, you know what, screw it. I got something else I gotta get to. I gotta get to the gym or whatever.
Fuck, man. It just also shows how corrupt the justice system can be.
Yeah.
Like at least, yeah, I don't know. I don't fucking know if it is like that here in Denmark too. I mean, it could be. I mean, surely you gotta fucking expect that the court of Norway, when they convicted that mass murderer, fucking what was his name?
Breivik.
Yeah, Breivik. Yeah, Breivik. When they fucking convicted him, that there has been some corrupt shit going on. Because he didn't get nearly as long time as you would have expected, did he?
No, because they chose not to prosecute him on the terrorist charge, which would have like been 30 years. But I think like there is a reason. I think like there is a reason for it, because like if they were to charge him with a terrorist act and give him 30 years, then it would have been like, all right, then you do 30 years, man, and then you're out. By doing it this other way of like 21 year, and and then like they will constantly review it to see like like if he's up for a release after these 21 years, or if his mental state has improved or something, right? But the bottom line is that this is better because it allows for them to keep him in there forever.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe that's not corruption then, but like this movie definitely shows that the law system can be corrupt, especially if we're talking countries like the United States, and
especially in America. Yeah.
Yeah. And
like there is like some things that I like seen from all the shit that I've seen on YouTube, and like people being pulled over and stuff, right? That you should never argue, right? You should never really argue, and if you're lucky, and also this also comes from like Better Call Saul, man. Remember when these three kids are on trial for dismembering this body and raping a dead body in one of like the first episodes where he works as a public prosecutor, right? Then they all complain about the sentence that they have gotten when if they had been like really unlucky, they could have like gotten like 10 times that. They could have got like 5 years in prison for that.
Fucking disgusting too. A disgusting way to open a show, but I mean, that also just it shows how it shows this wonderful theme that I constantly keep referring to about the show, the asymmetry of these both shows and the movie El Camino. This asymmetry that we have, which basically shows the asymmetry of life, because. Which is reflected, of course, in the sound, in the opening theme of Better Call Saul, where we have
Yeah. And then the last key there,
the last key is gone, but we have it on several other accounts as well, where we have like I don't know, like Walter White dropping a beaker. And then gets all upset about it. Like that's a symmetry to me too. Like he couldn't just pour his chemicals together and then have the perfect methamphetamine produced. No. He had to drop the fucking beaker because that's life, you know. That's the asymmetry of life. The asymmetry of life is always going to be there. Call it the universe, if you will. The universe is always going to fuck with you. In a way, it's going to fucking make you drop stuff. It's going to make you spill coffee. It's going to make you fucking burn your food on the fucking pan.
It's going to make you fuck up.
Exactly.
As simple as that.
And that's the beauty. That's one of the many reasons why I like the show, is because it shows that life is not perfect symmetry and fucking all hunky dunky. It is fucking chaos. No, well, it is chaos, but also we humans want to create structure out of this chaos. But then again, when we create enough structure, then universe comes again and creates chaos. So it's a constant cycle of chaos versus structure. I could fucking talk about this for hours, but let's move on.
Okay, like I wanted to say something else. And there's a lot. There's a few of these, where the defendant gets the chance to take a deal. Kim also has one of those, where the person that Kim is representing don't want to take the deal and wants to take the fucking chances in court, even though we're talking about 5 months in prison, but the dude wants to take the chances in court, where he can only get 7 or 8 years, and then it gets up to where they put up this play, where Jim is playing to be the prosecutor or something, and being oh, I'm gonna make an example of his ass. Or something like that, and then he comes. But there's a few of these, and the point is that if this were to happen to you in America, and you get the chance to take a deal that gives you a low sentence like this, you fucking take it. You don't fucking roll the dice and be maybe I walk, but also maybe I get 20 years in prison. Because that is also something that very likely can happen in the American justice system, where you will get a judge that wants to set a fucking example out of you, right? And be let this be an example and a lesson to everybody else out there thinking about robbing that bank on Main Street, huh?
Yeah.
Thinking about robbing that bank on Main Street with your dick out.
It's true. And now that we're talking about people robbing banks, and we're I feel like we're getting back to this criminal stuff again.
Let's get back to it. I wanted to say a quote from Breaking Bad, and this is where Skinny Pete and Badger is talking about Star Trek. Skinny Pete, what do you think all those sparkles and shit are? Transporters are breaking you apart right down to your molecules and bones. They're making a copy. That dude who comes out on the other side, he ain't you. He's a color Xerox. Badger. So you're telling me every time Kirk went into the transport, he was killing himself? So a whole series, there was 147 Kirks? Skinny Pete. At least, dude. Now, why do you think McCoy never liked the beam nowhere? Because he's a doctor, bitch. Look it up. It's science.
I love that scene. It's epic. Was that it?
Yeah, that was it.
It just shows also this this dynamic there is between Skinny Pete and Badger, and the stupidity or kind of the stupidity there is. I mean, I know Skinny Pete is still much smarter than Badger, obviously. But Jesse might be even smarter than Skinny Pete in some areas. I mean, and that's another thing I wanted to come back to. Actually, I wanted to come full circle here, because we talked about the dark side of Skinny Pete earlier with regards to that.
This is one of those points that shows it, at least.
Yeah.
Where
or well, as I see it, like this scene with Badger shows the more chilled sides of Skinny Pete, like the sides where he has already been released from prison and he's started to calm down and find the lighter sides, the humorous sides of life. But what I wanted to talk about more in the end of this podcast here is the dark sides of him, which we've also touched about. When this guy, I still don't know what the fuck his name is. Man, we gotta figure that out.
You mean like the henchman or Skinny Pete?
The henchman who comes in and talks to Hector. The henchman who's part of Hector's gang, together with Nacho. Arturo. Yeah, Arturo. Fuck, man. Now I just fucking mentioned. Fuck, man. Now I got it. I gotta fucking take a minute there to just like absorb that. All right. No, Arturo comes in and says that he's in Los Lunas and that he killed a guy to Hector, and Hector freaks out. But this scene is really where we get to know that Tuco is in prison, probably together with Skinny Pete. And this is probably the scene, I think, where he must be much darker than he is than with Jesse and with Badger, because Tuco is a fucking we've all seen Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. He's a despicable character. He is fucking. He stabbed just from this scene alone, where we get to know that he broke a guard's jaw. That's one thing. He knifed the guy in Los Lunas. We don't know how that happened. They're still waiting to see how that happened in season 6 of Better Call Saul. He broke the legs of those two dipshits in the beginning of Better Call Saul. What else did he do? He
fired upon Hank with an assault rifle, which was the last thing he ever fucking did.
He constantly snorts coke. He is unpredictable. He attacked Gonzo, his own henchman, just to make a point, I guess. He's fucking unpredictable.
He beat him to death.
And
in that junkyard.
And with all this in mind, and now there's police outside of my window. I don't know what the fuck is happening out there. Okay, sorry. No, and with all this in mind, I'm just wondering how can Skinny Pete survive that? How can he survive that if he's as hunky-dunky happy as he is with Badger talking about Star Trek scripts? I mean, fucking imagine this, man. Imagine fucking Skinny Pete saying to Tuco, yeah, you remember that scene from Enterprise? What would happen?
Oh, fuck, man! Well, who knows, man? Maybe Tuco is a huge Star Trek.
No. He ain't without going closer into that analysis. I can tell you, I'm 90%, 95% sure that Tuco has never heard of Enterprise.
In my opinion, though, like Pete's the kind of character that you can talk to anything about. Right. Doesn't matter.
It's true.
That's what I think. That's what I think has saved him in prison.
Yeah.
That he has been this chilled out. That he's been able to think about everything, and that whatever the fuck Tuco's been bitching about in the prison cell, because he has been bitching there. Like Tuco is a loud person.
Normally, I would agree. With any other person, I would agree. But with fucking Tuco, I mean, the most despicable character in the Breaking Bad universe.
Yeah. Well,
I don't say that lightly.
Think about it, man. Like, after Walter
Wow.
blows up the fucking office of Tuco. You would
No.
have like thought like that his initial response would have been like, to just beat the fucking shit out of Walter for doing that,
No,
right?
no, no, because
But
remember, no, no,
but
no, but
instead,
no, no, because remember, in that situation, he still has like that. That was only an ounce of fucking what was mercury fulminate that he deployed. That he exploded. He still had a pound of mercury fulminate left
okay.
that he could have fucking exploded right there. So no, in comparison to that, Walter is fucking nuts, as we also know.
Yeah,
So no,
okay.
there's no way
Okay.
Tuco could have done shit in that situation.
Okay, but still,
Uh,
like there has been situations where Jesse and Walter ain't fucking protected by a fucking pound of mercury fulminate. But he didn't, because he liked them. He liked what they were doing or
Nah, I
whatever,
don't.
right? And
Nah, no, no,
he's
no, no,
also
no,
and
no.
he's
I
also
disagree.
and
You need and again, you need to rewatch the show. You've only watched it once. You need to rewatch it again. Like he doesn't like them. Not in my opinion. Like he needs them more like it. He knows what Walter is capable of, but he doesn't fucking like him. I think
he's attracted to danger. That's what I think it is.
no, man. You need to watch it again, man.
I
You
can't.
need
I'll
to
watch it
watch the
again.
show
I'll
again
watch it again. I'll watch
sometime.
it
Just
again.
like put it on
But
when you're like
anyways,
feeling, yeah.
I will like put some trivia out there for Skinny Pete, who may be borderline illiterate, as we are seeing him spelling the word street wrong in an episode where he spells it Streat.
Yeah, yeah. But that's
And
just like that's just another thing. That's like probably
and
Jesse Pinkman is probably a little illiterate as well, like any other
and
of
he
these street thugs. So that's not
and
really that special.
he also have trouble reading his own writing sometimes, as seen in the episode Peekaboo. However,
Yeah.
he is surprisingly articulate compared to his friends, and shows signs of impressive intellect at times. The actor that plays
Yeah.
Pete, Charles Baker, is also a talented pianist in
Yeah,
real
that's
life.
true. That's true.
The writer who wrote the scene of Skinny Pete playing Solfeggietto by C.P. Bach on the piano to
Oh,
demonstrate.
now you're just reading aloud something from the internet, aren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he is also one of three characters, along with Badger and Stephen Gomez, to appear in all 5 seasons, despite not being part of the main cast.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he and Badger are the only two supporting cast members to survive all 4 seasons.
Yeah, yeah.
And like a couple,
and that makes sense.
yeah.
Like considering the characters, the characters' depth and loyalty to Jesse. But it's only because of that. Don't think it's because of. Nah, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. But like, yeah, it's because of his loyalty. Yeah.
He is also one of the few characters whose last name remains unknown, assuming his name isn't literally Skinny Pete.
Yeah, that's true.
Skinny Pete drives a 1972 Ford Thunderbird, and throughout most of El Camino, Jesse wears Skinny Pete's signature hat.
Although, before we continue with a lot of these robotic facts, because that's kind of gonna like can get boring
Yeah,
for
okay,
our
I'm done. I'm done.
listeners
I'm done. I'm done. I'm
here.
done.
I don't
I'm
know,
done.
like we can do that, but it's just gonna like get boring and like yeah, like I'm usually referring to Joe Rogan because that's our main idol here when we do these podcasts.
Yeah,
'cause
man.
that's
Yeah,
like our
man. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is like all on me, because like this is supposed to be chilled back and laid back and all that, man. So I'm gonna hand off the mic here to my partner Troy. What's
Yeah,
up, man?
because like there was one more thing that I wanted to discuss during this episode. It's just a small thing, not something that'll take a lot more time because we're already on 1 hour. So yeah, we can just like take this thing and then good buddy Pat here can end it. But before we do that, I just wanted to get in on this that I started with the episode with, which was Jesse bragging to Badger here about all his chemistry knowledge and knowing all this glass where he says volumetric beaker instead of flask. This is underlined, or this character development more is underlined by when you later see where he achieves a meth purity of 96.2% when he's down in Mexico. And considering, compared to season 1, where he doesn't even know what a volumetric flask is, where he calls it, here's a Griffin beaker, here's a volumetric beaker, you know. Then 3 seasons later, we have him going up on 96.2% of meth purity. And to just showcase how much of a development that is, let me just contrast that to when Gale says in an episode of, in the first episodes of season 4, when he says, Mr. Fring, I can guarantee you a purity of 96%. Mind you, 0.2% less than what Jesse accomplishes at the end of season 3 in Mexico, surrounded by a bunch of these cartel chemists.
Yeah.
Showing you how much, I'm not saying this is unrealistic in the show, but I'm just saying how much Jesse has developed over 3 seasons of Breaking Bad, and in the real time of the TV show, it would probably be like 3/4 of a year. So in 3/4 of a year, Jesse has had so much practical experience with cooking meth that he has brought that he has brought himself up to 96.
That he has gotten a PhD in cooking meth.
Basically.
In less than a year.
Basically, yes. Of course, it might just be, as Victor says, it is just because it is the process. It is just the cook that he has mastered to perfection. But I don't know, man. You make of that what you will, fans out there. Maybe you will call that unrealistic. I will just call it good character development for now.
Yeah, I would also I wouldn't say that it would be beyond anyone to be like a meth cook to perfect a trade as you could perfect any trade.
Especially under Walter White's narcissistic supervision.
Yeah.
Like, man, he's basically Terrence Fletcher from Whiplash.
Yeah.
Like fucking, are you rushing or are you dragging?
Yeah. Are you rushing or are you dragging?
Not saying, definitely not saying that's a healthy way to teach someone to do something.
Yeah.
And you can see that by Jesse's PTSD, but that's another fucking discussion.
Yeah. All right, so shall I end it here?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in on this week's episode of The Corner. And as always, I'd like you to hit that subscribe button so we can get the word out there. And we will make more interesting podcasts, also like the less is more episode and stuff like that, because that's what it's all about, to get the word out there to you guys so you can make up your own opinion on what's right and what's wrong. Until next time, folks. Thank you for listening, and peace out.